growth in their valuation. I mean, you've got places like Dallas County where home values are growing 12% a year. Even today still, they're probably in the middle single digits at least. Say, for example, you've got average growth of 10% statewide. The rollback is going to take away 6% of that, so taxable value can only grow 4%. But that's applied statewide. Now, say in Dallas County, say they had growth of 16%. They're still only going to lose 6% due to that statewide rollback, so they're still going to get to experience 10% of taxable value growth. If you've got another county, Adams County, for example, maybe Adams County only had 1% growth in residential property values. Well, they're, just like Dallas County, they're still going to lose 6%. So they're actually going to have negative change in their taxable value after that rollback is applied. So what I'm trying to emphasize is that the housing market, in terms of the rollback, is the entire state. What's going on in Dallas County affects the people in Adams County and vice versa. So you've got to look at it on a statewide basis. And what that means is the rollback hurts those counties that are experiencing less than average growth. So let's get into a couple of examples here. Okay, let's say in year one we're just starting on a blank slate and we've got $1 million of assessed value. This is the first year of human existence, so assessed value is also equal to taxable value. Now let's say we've got revaluation, which is inflationary growth of 15%. So in the second year, we have total assessed value of $1,150,000. Remember, assessed value is only trying to get to 100% of market. We're not worried about the rollback at all in terms of assessed value. So we've got $1,150,000 of assessed value, but the rollback says taxable value can only go up 4%. So taxable value only goes up to $1,040,000. The $1 million we started with plus 4%. And then the rollback is a simple fraction once we're at that level. We take the taxable value of $1,040,000 divided by the assessed value of $1,150,000, and we get a rollback rate of 90.4%. That's how the rollback is calculated. And then, when you've got new houses or new construction, they're also assessed at their full market value, but then they come in tax-wise, taxable value at the rollback rate. So they'll come in at 90.4% of whatever their assessed value is. If we go to the next slide, the rollback, it's the old property tax administrator at Department of Revenue used to say it was like a bank, because remember in that example where we rolled away 6%? Well, that just doesn't disappear forever. It gets stored in something kind of like a bank over here, and then if we have slow growth years or zero growth years in the future, then we take enough growth out of that bank to get to 4% every year. And the effect of that is that as long as you have a rollback, like we have at 44% now for residential property, as long as we're below 100%, the taxable value of residential property statewide is going to grow 4% every year from now until the end of time, no matter what happens to the housing market. The housing market could plummet 20% next year. The taxable value of residential property, not the assessed value, taxable value would still go up 4%. Because there's enough in the bank over here from past years to make up for that difference. And that's true until the rollback gets back up to 100%. So let's do one more example here on the next slide. And these are with the current numbers. Say we got assessed value of $1 million. We have a 44% rollback right now. So we've got taxable value of $440,000. Say next year the market declines 10%. So now the total assessed value is only $900,000. But because we've got 56% stored up in the bank over here, we just take out 4% of that, and taxable value goes up 4%, from $440,000 to $457,000. And now the new rollback rate is that $457,000 divided by the assessed value of $900,000 gives you 50.8%. Even though the market value of homes declined by 10%. The taxable value goes up by 4%. And that's going to happen, I mean, unless we have a severe housing drought. I mean, I'm talking 20 years of zero growth. You're going to see 4% increases in the taxable value of residential property statewide, not on individual properties, statewide, honestly, from now until the end of time or until this system has changed. Let's go to the next slide. Look at another example. Starts the same way. Year one, $1 million, $440,000 taxable. Now let's say the market increases by 4%, up to $1,040,000. Well, taxable value is also going to increase 4% because that 4% growth in the market is within the allowable limit. So taxable value will go up to $457,000. And notice that the rollback rate then didn't change. If you have taxable value and assessed value grow at the same level, the rollback rate is going to stay the same at that 44%. If you have taxable value grow by more than assessed value, so you have assessed value decline, say, then the rollback rate is going to go up, and vice versa. If you have assessed value grow faster than taxable value, then the rollback rate will go down. In the bottom of this slide, let's just say we've got another, next year we have zero growth. We start with a 44% rollback, next year we have zero growth. Taxable value is still going to go up 4% to $457,000. The rollback would go up a little bit because taxable value growth exceeded assessed value growth, and so we'd have a rollback of about 45.8%. The point of all this is to say we've had a situation where the market declined by 10%, stayed the same, or went up by 4%, and the taxable value is the exact same next year in each situation. It's going to be 4% more than it is this year. This next slide is going to show, the rollback by class. I mean, if you look on there, commercials had a little bit of a rollback. Industrial never had one in the last 10 years. Ag, just in the past 2 years, has had a little bit of a rollback, 90%, and it's 94% in the next fiscal year. But the ag, next, for those of you that have got your assessment roll and own agricultural property, you've already noticed, I'm sure, the assessed value of agricultural property is absolutely going to skyrocket in 2009, fiscal year 2011. I mean, I'm talking an average increase in agricultural assessed values of over 50% around the state. And it's all due to the productivity formula. It's due to 2 bad years dropping off the formula, 2 new good years coming on, high corn prices, somewhat before the increased expenses hit too bad. And there's just going to be a tremendous increase in the assessed value of ag property next year. And what that means is ag is going to have a rollback somewhere around 65% next year. Because we've got growth of 40 to 50%, and in assessed, and ag has a 4% taxable limit, just like residential. So we're going to see that 2011, when that comes onto that chart next year, ag is going to have a rollback down near 65%. And that affects residential too, as we'll see on the next slide. Because there's just one more aspect of the rollback that I got to talk about, and that's called coupling. Back when they instituted this system, home values were growing quite a bit, maybe double digit. And so they wanted to put in the rollback to reduce the growth in the taxable value of homes. Well, when they did that, it was seen mostly as a benefit to city people and urban legislators. And the rural legislators got concerned, and they said, well, if you're holding down taxes on city people, you're going to have to increase taxes on farmers to pay for the difference, and we don't want to do that. So why don't we tie agricultural growth and residential growth together? And that's what they did. So we've got this coupling system that says, in addition to the 4% limit, I mean, ag has got a 4% limit, residential's got a 4% limit, but in addition to that, if either class grows by less than 4%, the other class is also going to grow by less than 4%. So if you have residential taxable value that should go up 4%,